and I was 5, my rumah banjir. I'm like, now whatever my age is, it's still banjir. So I feel like people need to settle the root problem first.
I want to push for a change in this country. I think everyone is, a bit jaded with all the political turmoil that we've had.
Actually, you are, as a local girl, you have advantages and all that. So I said, like, Datuk Sri, you are a minister and all that. But she said, yeah, but people like the idea, the story of a local girl.
I mean, the elderly are very keen to sit down and have long chats with us to hear our ideas.
After we become coalition, there's no more talk about corruption. There's no more about reforms. So what is happening?
When you only have 2 voices in this country, what happens then? That means all those other voices are being drowned out.
Hey guys, I am Tasnim from Sinar Daily and you are watching Top News Podcast. With me today are 2 Muda candidates. For Shah Alam, we have Azad Akbar from
that's me.
Kota Anggerik and Cheda Razak from Batu Tiga.
Yep.
Okay. Alright. Calon nombor 1 and calon nombor 3, right?
Yeah.
So since let's get started and introduce yourself straight away. Since there's 2 ladies here, let's go ahead and let Azad take the mic and introduce himself. What?
Well, looks like the patriarchy is dead. Alright, so my name is Azad Akbar. I am a lawyer, as well as, I am the Ketua Parlimen for Muda Klang. I'm also the Ketua Biro Dasar dan Policy for Muda Selangor. Second child in a family of 6 kids. Calon nombor 3 for Kota Anggerik.
And Cheda?
Okay, hi, I'm Cheda Razak. I just told Tasni my real name is very long, so she said just stick with Cheda Razak. I'm a Shah Alam girl, live and born here my whole life, and I'm a lawyer. I'm also Timbalan Ketua Parlimen Muda Shah Alam, and I'm also Timbalan Biro Pendidikan for Selangor Muda. And yeah, I'm your calon number 1 for Batu Tiga.
Alright, okay, so I think we'll just go straight ahead. I think to clear things off just for a second, what happened to your arm?
Oh, well, I had a surgery last month to fix a recurrent dislocation of the shoulder. This was actually something that happened a long time ago. About 10 years ago, it first started 10 years ago from a sports injury. And about 3 months plus ago, I had a recent fall and it reopened up. Yeah, on my birthday.
It's a sign, I guess.
Yeah, so I fell on my birthday, tried to break my fall with my right arm. Instead, I broke my shoulder. So
okay,
had to
my
get
God, that
fixed,
sounds painful.
Actually, it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a high tolerance for pain.
Maybe that's something a good candidate
would need.
Endure.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose.
Okay. All right. So how has the sport on the ground been? Like, you guys both are contesting in Shah Alam.
Yep.
So in general, how has Shah Alam been responding to the both of you?
Surprisingly for me, the sentiment and response quite positive on the ground compared to whatever love-hate we receive online, netizens. But the people on the ground are genuinely very supportive and kind, especially the elderly. They really want to see new faces. They really want to see new politicians who are new to the political arena, who has no background or experience before this, but want to bring new ideas to the ground. So far, so good. Yeah.
Yep, I've had the same experience. In fact, what's happening is that as we go around on the ground, these elderly, the elderly are very keen to sit down and have long chats with us to hear our ideas.
Okay.
So yeah, they're really looking forward to new people in politics.
Yep. Right. And what about the younger generation, the Muda generation?
Well, I would say that there's been also a fair bit of support.
Okay.
But of course, they are less keen to engage with long discussions. What happens is that from what I've seen at least, they cheer around in the back. They talk a little bit, but it's, I would say, more directly in relation to how politics affects them directly rather than, how it affects the nation as compared to my conversations with elderly lah. Yeah.
Oh, so like the elderly would be more focused on national issues?
Not to say national issues, but like where the country is headed as a whole. Yeah. They're looking more towards the global sort of picture, the big picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
At least that's from what I see lah.
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting because the people
Yeah.
who will be in the future are the younger generations. I'm not saying that the elder people, but I mean the future itself, right? So like, how has the engagement been? Like the policy, what are they asking for? What are the Shah Alam people want? You know, what do they want? What do they talk to you about?
For Batu Tiga at least, similar experience and so far for the past 5 days. But for Batu Tiga people, they are looking forward to be as equal as Kota Anggerik.
Okay.
In terms of economy, in terms of infrastructure, because we are Shah Alam. But when people talk about Batu Tiga, they think about before TM40. There's no point of interest places. So they say, why can't we be as equal as Kota Anggerik? Kota Anggerik have all the universities, all the fun parks, and they want to be equal as a Shah Alam people. So that's what they want us to bring forward for Batu Tiga lah. At least
that's
in my
interesting.
experience. Yeah, because I grew up there, so I know there's not really much places for young people especially, and people my age, they don't really live here. Like even for me, I work in KL because I know there's more opportunities, better salary. So those who are living in Batu Tiga mostly are working class people above 40, above 50s.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope the young one will come back and vote.
How would that be? Like, how would you move around, or what's your initiative to start picking that back up? I mean, to create that economy and create facilities and infrastructure.
Okay, because we talk a lot about giving small business opportunities.
Okay.
So what we do during our campaign, we keep showing them in our social media. We promote their businesses, especially for like single mothers, single women who raise up their children and all that. Because we found these people not during our campaign, but I've been in touch with them since MCO because they reached out when we were starting with our NGO programs. So from there, I know what are their interests, what they want to see in future, not just businesses, but what can we give them as a society, like upskill their skills and all that. So we are trying to give them voices to come forward. What do they want from us?
What will be your manifesto actually for Batu Tiga?
Actually, the 3 manifesto that I announced to the world when I was named candidate,
Okay.
I actually kind of move around whenever I go on the ground because it kind of related to my manifesto, but there's like more into it. Like first I say I want to improve on the mitigation plan for blood management because everyone's talking about, okay, let's build up Batu Tiga, more development, but no one ever really like tackle the root issues. You have to settle the banjir first. I live here my whole life. I told people the same story. I think people fed up. When I was 5, my rumah banjir. I'm like, now whatever my age is, it's still banjir. So I feel like people need to settle the root problem first, then move forward with development. Whatever you want to do, want to build here, university ke apa. Second one, I focus more in empowering people who need access, but I focus more on women because I deal with a lot of single mothers who are have to carry their family alone and all that. The third manifesto was more, it's not just mine, but I think Azad's too, and also Muda, to bring back local election to the people. They should vote their own whoever local council. Yeah. But we tackle as we go along whatever new issues that I found out on the ground. I try to mix it around with my manifesto lah.
Okay, adjust it and adapt it accordingly.
It's still under the 3 payung, but it's more now when I meet people on the ground, because whatever idea I have when I prepare the manifesto is for me because I live here my whole life. But when I real people on the ground, there's more addition to it, which is good, I think, because I'm taking all the feedbacks.
And you're going up against a former minister.
Yes.
Datuk Sri Rina Harun. Yeah, the former women's minister and also regional minister.
Correct.
So she would be, because you talked about single mothers and also like development, that would come under her previous ministries lah, the 2 ministries that she was in. What's your upper hand, because she has like a whole experience, I guess a whole year, 2 years in government, in administration.
This is not something I said, this is something Datuk Sri said during our penamaan calon day.
Oh, okay.
She came, she was very friendly, she came forward to me, she said like, Actually, you are, as a local girl, you have advantages and all that. So I said, like, Datuk Sri, you are a minister and all that. But she said, yeah, but people like the idea, the story of a local girl. You know the issue, you know. So I said, I was very touched because she was a minister, she was very experienced, but she came and, say all these things, small talks and all that. So I feel like it's true, regardless whatever her achievement, her experience, whatever years that she had, just focus on the issues, just focus on what my fight. I'm not to say I know my people, but I know the issues that I supposed to go now. So I don't really focus on other advantages. Rather, I just focus on my advantages and my strength lah.
Yeah.
If I keep focus on people's strength and advantages, I don't think I can move forward in these 14 days. You only have 14 days. You can't keep worrying about others.
And the other candidate, Daniel from Amanah,
Yes.
How has he been? I mean, he's going up against two strong, powerful women.
He's actually very friendly. We met before even this election because we worked together before on the ground because he's from PH and we helped them during PRU and all that. He's always been so nice and supportive. Always come to our event, even for Muda Shah Alam. He came before last year and all that, and he still remember whatever we invited him to. So it's really easy to go against nice people. I mean, like, they want the best for your society, your constituents also. So whatever we are doing now is for the best and the best interest of our constituents.
So you feel like your seat at Batu Tiga is focused on your candidates. I mean, the people you're against are actually, even if you lose, the people who will win have the people's heart the people's priority at
I'm
heart.
sure they have the best interest for the people, but I would say I like to put myself on top a bit, being the local girl. You come from outside, I would like to fight for my seat, hometown. So they might be a good leader, but I want to fight using that. I'm a local girl.
How's your family and neighbors been in terms of campaigning? Have they
My family and neighbors are actually voters of Azad because I Kota Anggerik.
Oh,
because
okay.
our sempadan and all that. Although we all are Batu Tiga, living jiran-jiran, but it's not all the same section.
Oh man,
so,
you lost on
I have few friends from school, primary school, secondary school. There are some for me, some for Azad, which is fair. I feel like both of us can gain all the votes from my friends, family, but they are very supportive. It's not that they talk about it openly, but I don't think them being not a Muda members, most of my school friends, most of my team here, my family members, they are not really politically inclined. But they support me because they know who I am. They know what I've been doing all these years. So I think rather than the party, they would want the best person to win.
Okay, so just a quick one, right? Before we move on to Azad, just a quick one.
I'm so sorry.
As a woman, right?
I can just forever.
I was just enjoying this whole exchange.
As a woman, like, was there any not lah macam betul ke nak contest ni, betul ke nak put yourself in the political landscape ni, like that doubt, self-doubt and imposter syndrome that comes to women in general, right?
Yes, I think imposter syndrome not from outsiders, also from myself also. Because I've been only in volunteering arena all this time, not politic works. But I know my strength for the last almost 2.5 years with Muda. I know the groundwork they've been doing, so I have that confidence and that support from my inner circle to say that I'm not doing this just for, let's try lah.
It's like a real thing.
Fun je. But no, I mean it to win it because I want to fight the good fight.
Sorry, Tasnim, can I just ask this? Why is imposter syndrome related to gender in any way?
Yeah, it's kind of hard a woman. No, I mean
guys also get that.
I mean, guys get it, of course, but
people will ask us, baik duduk rumah, masak, jaga suami. Ada lelaki, orang cakap dengan
and
lelaki
the
macam
worst
tu.
is like when you actually go to work, people are like, betul ke nak jaga anak nanti macam mana? Oh my god, like, don't even get
people will
started
never
on that.
ask a guy, tak jaga anak ke? Never.
Do you, like, people go for an interview, are you getting married? Are you getting pregnant? Who's going to take a look after your children?
I mean, if I were to get pregnant, that would be quite something.
Well, men are getting pregnant apparently in the Western world.
I refuse to accept that.
Okay, Azad, let's go to you now. All right. What is happening for you in Kota Anggerik? Like, you're against the incumbent, Najon Halimi, who experienced a little bit of a mishap involving racial sentiments, and also against the PAS and Perikatan National Youth Chief Sukri Omar. So it's quite a tough fight, I guess, for you, as opposed to... Actually, no, it's just generally that. How do you feel about it, and what's going on for you?
Well, I think that, the performance that we will have in this election ultimately depends on the voters. So whatever happens, has happened, is up to the people to judge. And I think what I want to do during this campaign is I just want to focus on the policies that I want to bring, because I want to push for a change in this country. I think everyone is, I think, a bit jaded with all the political turmoil that we've had since, Lanka, Sheraton, COVID, Kita Jaga Kita, the white, black flags, the floods.
The floods was insane.
Yeah. My car was flooded into.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I was one of the first people who went out into Klang Town to try to... it was a bit silly of me.
You're trying to be the hero.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, what happened that day was that there was this girl who called me.
Okay.
And she was telling me about her I think it was her aunt or her grandma whose house got flooded.
Okay.
And she was saying that she needs help to get her things and her out of the house. So I was trying to see how I could get in there. So I drove over to Klang, parked my car at this one spot at another Muda member's house, and then we got into his car to head into town. But as we reached there, we realized, no, we can't go in.
Yeah.
But on our way back, we realized that his house got flooded, and my car was there. So, yeah.
So did you get insurance from the car? Did it survive?
It survived.
Okay,
yeah.
So you're still using it now?
Yep.
All right.
It's my campaign car.
Okay, so you should promote that. I suffered as well. And
We promote that hugely during my campaign.
you orang local lagi lah kan. Okay, so how do you feel like contesting against the two, politically more experienced people?
Well, I don't think experience is really much of a factor here in this election, because in terms of age difference, we're not all that different.
Okay.
I'm 35. Najwan is 36 if I'm not mistaken. 37?
Najwan, right?
No, he's 36 if I'm not mistaken.
37.
And then Sukri Omar is 37.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the age gap is not all that large.
Wow.
Of course, the two of them have had a long, I suppose, a long number of years of experience being in politics.
Yeah.
But they have not worked in the corporate world. They have not, not as long as I have, right? So I suppose there's a different set of viewpoints, perspectives that I will bring as well. So in terms of experience per se, when it comes to policy making as a state assemblyman, I think that we all bring different things to the table. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds interesting, especially because you've been in the law. You've been practicing for about 8 years? Sorry, just 10.
My total working experience is, I think, the same as
11 years.
Yeah,
11
about
years,
11
yeah.
years.
Entering my 11-year practice.
I think I've got about 8.5 to 9 years of being in practice.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds a lot of years working.
Yeah.
So at least you bring in the administration part of things. Okay, so since we're talking about years in politics, so I just want to highlight one thing. For the state elections, a lot of, I would say, very senior politicians like ministers and former MPs, even former chief ministers are contesting. Current MPs, current ministers, such as we have Tok Mat and Anthony Lok in Negeri Sembilan, and we have Lim Guan Eng in Penang, among them lah, and Ahmad Syed in Terengganu. Do you guys think it's, state seats is supposed to be a place where people start, tempat training ground for those who are going into the bigger role, in the federal territory role. What do you guys think about them contesting?
Well, I would say this lah. Malaysia as a whole really has a challenge in terms of bringing in new faces into politics.
Okay.
Because what happens is that first of all, we don't have local council elections. The widely accepted path into politics seems to be that you have to join an existing political party, and thus they monopolize the path into politics. So our party believes that this entry into politics has to be democratized. It cannot be that, a member, or rather a member of the public on the ground has to work through this particular system of monopoly by these political parties before they can actually come out to serve the wider public. At the end of the day, you see, well, at least this is my perspective, politics is about expressing the ideas that you have for the country and allowing the people to choose what ideas do they want to have in this country. When you only have two voices in this country, what happens then? That means all those other voices are being drowned out. So yeah, I think, sorry, I might have rambled on a bit. What was the question again?
What do you think about more senior people with senior positions contesting?
I think that we need to have a fresh set of perspectives brought into politics. And I think both myself, Cheda, in fact, many of the Muda candidates all have different ideas on how we intend, or rather different ideas on different ideas that we want to bring to the political scene. So I think one of the things that we all have agreed to push for is for local council elections, because this allows, firstly, it allows the youth to come into politics. It's a lower sort of stage, I suppose, for new entrants into politics. It also allows a more, or rather less intensive in terms of policy making, a less intensive role for these new entrants as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, local council.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, Cheda.
No,
Cheda.
I don't have much to add to that because I agree with Azad. But for me personally, I think why all these seniors, veteran politicians are running is more on for the survival of their party.
Okay.
It's not really in the interest of the people. If you really believe people at least for state election, it's to give the local or more like fresh faces to
entryway into the
entryway, and also to speak for the voices of the people that they actually, let's say, local community and all that. Why would you give a veteran or a very experienced politician who already know the national issues, who can bring forward until parliament and all that, because of the survival of their party? It's not really in the interest of the people, or it's not really because they want to run in that constituent for the benefit of the people. It's merely for to lengthen their careers
and the party.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, my personal thought.
Or maybe they just can't let go.
Yeah. We should have the two terms policy. It's very important to have that. If not, new faces, new ideas, new leaders would never have space.
So if that comes into play, let's say two-term policies even for parliamentarians and state assemblymen.
Yes.
Like you'd be out of job after 10 years.
If
you were to be appointed as a state assemblyman.
Yes. But that's the idea of bringing more new leaders. I mean, like 2 terms as Adun, then you have 2 terms for parliament. You can't be staying in the Dewan Negeri or parliament forever. You always have to bring new ideas. People change, time change, and for me, coming from a legal background, I can always go back because legal and politics are intertwined. It's not like I can only survive using my political career, using my, let's say I come from NGO and legal. There's always something you can contribute to the society, not necessarily to be, always politician. You have to make way, you have to make path for the new politician leaders. That's what I think. 2 terms is 10 years. 2 terms parliament 20 years. How long do you want to be there to bring new policy ideas?
Until forever.
I'm just
saying. Not me. I'm not a politician. So
it's really hard work to
I think we also need to stress that there's a new set of ideas that you get with each generation, because every generation has their own zeitgeist, right?
Yes.
So of course, Gen Y might have a different view of particular things, Gen Z a different view. So we need to keep up with the times. We need to bring this fresh set of perspectives and change our policies to match.
Yeah.
I mean, what we had in 2018, for example, is, there were people talking about private flying cars.
Yeah.
And everyone was like so past that already,
Yeah.
We were all in the mode of looking for public transport,
Yes.
Yeah.
reducing the need for personal transport. And there's this guy talking about
Yeah.
flying cars still. And we're like,
We can't even
are you
cycle flat.
sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Do we really need
Yeah. Do we need
more cars?
Yeah.
More flying cars? So this is one thing. You guys always talk about equality, meritocracy, Malays standing on their own. We don't need the special rights. Yeah, whatever.
Alright.
All those
Quota
things.
system. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
quota system and everything under the sun regarding that. But why are people in general so afraid of it? Like, isn't that what everybody is fighting for? Equality, equal rights, and merits. But why does, when Muda come forward with it, people get very, very defensive, people get very scared, even the politicians themselves, from other parties?
I think your question is linked, in a sense, to the previous question as well, on why the older generation is staying on. People fear change. Change makes people uncomfortable. But sometimes change needs to happen if you don't want to get stuck in the past,
Yes.
right? And that's just it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Cheda?
I think one thing what changes, and also one thing I would say why people think Muda is so vocal about it. People need to see that Muda is a new party, young party, who has no nepotism or favoritism, because we are all it's either professionals, we are expertise in our own field, so we don't have the pressure of delivering whatever our ancestors to tell. If you have a father or grandfather who are prime minister or a politician, so you feel to keep with their legacy, their you have to do this, you have to do quota because Malay people like this, memang like this. But when you come with a young party like Muda, we bring our own values, because we try to push the idea of diversity to everyone, equality to everyone. We don't feel afraid to talk about this quota system, because we believe and we know Malaysians are all equal. But when you come from an older party who have a set of rules for 60 years, if you want to change now, you have to check with 6 level of bureaucracy. We don't. We speak for our own rakyat. We are the rakyat. We are pro rakyat. So I think that's why people are scared.
Okay, so we've had a few other Muda candidates and including Sheikh Sadiq on the show, and they all have been very critical of the current government, unity government, and policies and the very slow response in reforms.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
I think it's a very short comment. I just want to say why it is very frustrating, not only for Muda leaders, but for members out there. It is because there's a line that I read. Once you make a promise to rakyat, but when the coalition happened, you didn't even bother to take what rakyat tell you to bring out to the parliament. You are so comfortable with your coalition, and you don't really care what people want you to speak in parliament. After you become coalition, there's no more talk about corruption, there's no more about reforms. So what is happening? People just want to know, why is this happening? You said you are new, you said you are bringing new values, new values, new policy, but people are just, I think, fed up with the promises. And where are the promise of reforms? Where are the promise to fight corruption? There's nothing. So is this the same promise again and again? So I think Muda is trying to break away from that. That's why people say, kenapa solo? This is the reason.
Okay, and Azad?
My take is essentially this. We have to be critical of the government, because the government is always the one that is enacting whatever laws, executive actions, etc. There's no point in criticizing the opposition in that sense, because they're not the one doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, if people were to say that Muda is being overtly critical of the government, Well, that's because the government is the one that's there in power.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so like we asked a few people who are your voters in Shah Alam, both Kota Anggerik and Batu Tiga. One of the questions they asked was one main problem that can be, one issue Shah Alam has faced is connectivity issues. To other cities in the Klang Valley, so connectivity issues from Klang Valley to Shah Alam, blah blah blah. Due to lack of public transportation, and the new LRT station is taking way too long for construction. Do you have any suggestions for short and long term solutions for this problem?
For short, since I am one of those affected by all this problem because I work in KL. I spend 2-3 hours on the road. I would say for the past 3 years since MCO, employers should give the option to the employee, if necessary, to work from home, so that they don't really have to go in if there's no work. I mean, like, you can still do all your tasks at home, rather than just go in for the sake of, be in the office when you can carry out the same tasks at home. But that's the only short term in terms of public transportation problem. But in long terms, maybe, Azad can.
Azad, what's your take for the long term?
Okay, actually, I would say this, in terms of short term, because I did somewhat touch on this issue in my manifesto. Also, as a person who has done the whole crawl from Klang Shah Alam to KL,
oh my God,
for 8 years, which was about 1.5 hours to 2 hours each way.
Yes.
And of course, the same on the way back. For 8 years, I think if you do the math, that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
So so throughout all those years, I've been thinking a lot how to solve this problem.
Okay, good. All those hours in the car, all the hours in the car.
Yeah, got to make productive use of that time.
Yes, exactly.
So actually, what I'll be proposing is that the state government should actually implement work from home to be the sort of pioneer, because having worked having worked in-house with a company as part of their legal team, there was always a concern about doing something new.
Okay,
right?
new.
Because you're stepping into uncharted waters. You don't know how the law will impact the company, right? So as part of the legal team, this is how I had to look at these problems. But with the state government, you see, what can be done is that they can gradually adapt, implement on a very gradual, or perhaps by a phase-by-phase basis. What you could do is perhaps you could say that, okay, this let's start with this department first. Perhaps each employee gets 1 day a week where they get the privilege of working from home. Correct. So this can be gradually increased and deployed. You can then determine how to craft out the laws that would then perhaps be introduced into the Employment Act, or perhaps guidelines, for example, right? So this gives companies a little bit more certainty on how they would then be able to adopt these work from home policies. So I think that this is how we can bring about work from home culture. All right. So this is for the short term. This is the short term solution. In terms of mid-term, we're going to have to look at public transport, increasing avenues to reach where you need to reach. So when you talk about rail, there has to be first last mile connectivity. We need to look into ensuring that our bus lines are sufficient to meet the demand for it. You need to have also first and last mile connectivity. You need to ensure that the whole process of going on a bus and arriving at your destination is done in a dignified way, you're air conditioned, or at least kept relatively cool throughout. So that is the mid-term solution. Long-term, you have to look into having more intelligently designed cities. If you look at how our whole Klang Valley is designed, it's only perhaps more recently that you have smarter design cities. You have Putrajaya. Of course, one of the first is actually Shah Alam. All right. So if you see Shah Alam as a whole, in general, is fairly well designed, at least the initial part of it.
Okay.
But when you start going into, the newer places, Section 7, it gets a little bit overly congested. I think some of the industrial areas also are not too well designed. Like, for example, when you talk about Section 24, it seems to be overpopulated for the facilities that they have, like schools, etc. So these are things that need to be corrected. You need to, the government as a whole.
How do you correct it? Like, get people to move out?
Well, the state government, of course, has various means in doing so. There's always state acquisition, but that is normally not recommended. But what tends to happen is that as time passes, older developments become less popular. People start moving out.
Yeah.
So you will have this sort of gradual
ability to adjust accordingly.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So these are the sort of things that can be done. So in terms of connectivity, also we need to look we need to look into how all these pathways actually work. Because right now you have a Selangor state government which is introducing all these highways upon highways. You have the souk. They were planning to do PJD link, which is a whole other issue. But they seem to forget that, at the end of the day, we come back to bottlenecks. Right? If you were to take the NKV, for example, the NKV toll comes right after the toll. There's a really tight bottleneck from I don't know how many lanes there are. It goes down back to about 2.
Yes.
Every day whenever I took that particular road, it took me like half an hour just to get from the moment of when I paid the toll to that point where it converges into those 2 lanes.
Bukit Jelutong punya toll, is it?
NKVE.
NKVE,
NKVE.
exit Petaling.
Oh, Petaling. Okay.
Yeah. So when they talk about introducing new highway placed upon another highway, I don't see it as solving the problem.
It's kind of insane, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And also, it doesn't work with your GPS.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, I've been fooled so many times because of these kind of.
But you shouldn't rely on GPS. You're a Shah Alam person, right?
Yeah, but sometimes you have to go to like Selayang and stuff. So
you know what the back of your hands are.
Yeah, so these are places that I'm less familiar with, lah. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. One more question. Okay. What? Shah Alam, we spoke about transport, right? Shah Alam is a car-centric city. What are the solutions to mitigate this car? Public transport. Tapi takkan tiba-tiba you want to grow a LRT station in Section 7 to Section 9.
Okay, with Shah Alam, there's actually ample space to encourage light transport like bicycles, because it already has all these bicycle lanes.
Okay.
But you can also add electric light vehicles, those electric scooters and etc. Yeah. So this is a good sort of I would say an interim or intermediate means of transport between your home to perhaps the bus station, for example.
Okay, short distances.
Yeah. Correct.
We can see a lot of scooters these days. You just need to improve the pathway, especially for young people.
Okay. All right. So before we end, thank you so much for sharing your time here with us today and your plans for.
You're fun.
Thank you. Your plans for Batu Tiga and Kota Kemunei. Oh my God, Kota Anggerik. Sorry, for Kota Anggerik. So it's been a few days. 6 days. Day 5 today on recording day. Day 6. Yeah,
Day 6,
I was thinking it's day 6. Yeah.
Lots of time.
What's your favorite or most funniest response you've received from the campaign period from people?
Okay, I would say funniest story or remarks from aunties and uncles.
Okay.
My whole life I'm a bit denial about my age. When I'm in practice, I'm always ask people to guess my age and all that. They always guess younger and all that. I'm fine. But on the ground, when people see at my flyers, they was like, mudanya, betul ke nak bertanding? I said, I have to convince them, auntie, I'm not young, auntie, I'm really not young, look at my age. Then they asked me about your status, about your background and all that. And they was like, typical aunties and uncles, they are very caring and care. Dah kahwin ke? And I said oh, belum. Career lah, busy and all that. They was like, oh, there's one auntie lah. Very catchy line. I still remember because I remember my mom kind of said.
Okay.
She was like, kenapa tak cari calon? Kenapa busy mencari calon? I was like, wow. That's like mic drop moment.
Ouch. Ouch.
But that's a very cheeky line lah.
Yeah, it's
but
kind of cool.
They're sportive. They thought like young people shouldn't be running. Young people should be focused on career and all that.
Okay.
But when they know my background, experience and all that, they don't look at the age anymore.
Okay.
They just want you to do the best. And they say, yeah, we need more young people. We are done with the veteran, the experienced one, because young ideas are coming in. So they're quite accepting of
I think the first, because they think you look young, you know.
Yeah.
Because sebab tu lah.
Yeah, I think
Because sebab tu je.
Yeah, but I know, but I have to convince that actually I have this experience,
Yeah.
auntie. I worked that long.
You're
11
very
years.
much qualified for the position,
Yeah.
right?
So auntie just doakan. They were like very nice.
Okay, that's
After
nice.
that, yeah, but it's funny lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Setiap hari raya pun probably.
Yeah. 10 years already. Oh my god. It's been 10 years.
Okay, and you, Azad, what's the most funniest moments?
Well, I suppose it's somewhat similar to Cheda's in that sense. Like, I was walking around in this Pasar Malam,
Okay.
part of the walkabout, and there was this guy in my team who was introducing me, so he was like, Makcik, ini calon saya, handsome muka dia, calon.
Different kind of selling.
Yep.
Why my team never say that?
Because nanti dapat jadi
Okay.
nanti dapat that quote lah.
Okay, quick. Then
And then,
So he was like, Makcik ni handsome calonnya, don't Kota Anggerik. And then after that, this lady who was hawking her goods there in the Pasar Malam, she was like, tapi anak saya muda lagi. I was like, oh god, there's a different kind of
type, yeah.
calon.
Yeah.
yeah.
Watch the calon term.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. I had a good time with you guys. It's hilarious quotes.
Well.
So maybe it comes with being Muda, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And this is Top News Podcast. Don't forget to follow all our social media accounts, Sinar Daily MY. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.